Hi everyone, and welcome to Otakusphere Weekly, Episode 4. I'm Karen, and with me tonight are LB, also Lifesong,
Hello!
and Sal.
Yo!
Okay, a couple of quick things before we get started this week. I lied the other week. I said we weren't going to talk about Macross Delta, but Life and Sal are both watching it, so there's no reason not to put it on the outline, so we're going to talk about that. Well, I'm not. I'm going to listen to them and pretend I understand Macross. Also, because of the recent earthquakes in Japan, 2 shows were delayed. Cabaneri and Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto, so we won't be discussing those this week. But, obviously, we still have plenty on the list even without those, so let's get started with something that just premiered this week. Big Order Episode 1. Where do I even start with this? It has a lot of surface similarities to Code Geass, and when I initially finished it, I was just kind of like, do I really want to watch another Code Geass only without CC and without lots of pizza? But, I don't know, and I also thought the way they introduced the main character's power was kind of overdone, because he said like 15 different phrases that all mean the same thing. Like at the end, when he reveals his power, he's like, I have dominion over this whole area. I have dominion over this whole area, and you are now my pawns. I am now the master of this. It's like, yes, we get it. You're God. Awesome. Wonderful. I swear they said it so many times. So I was a little bit ambivalent about it, but I think I thought it was well made enough. I at least want to see the next episode. So Life, I know you're probably more of a proponent of the show than I am.
Oh, yeah, I'm loving it. Well, the biggest reason I'm excited for it right now is just that it's written by, the original manga is written by the same author as Future Diary. But the first episode, I don't know. I kind of like the way it was really selling itself, and maybe it was overdone. But my thoughts were, more like it's going all in with its promises. It's like it's saying a lot, and either it's going to deliver in a fantastic way, or it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, like he starts off with this whole premise of, as a kid, thinking this villain character is cool because he wants to take over the world for the sake of world peace.
And this is why children should not be allowed to watch cartoons, because stuff like this could happen.
They certainly shouldn't be able to make all-powerful wishes after watching cartoons.
If there are any floating fairies granting wishes, just, stay away from the kids. They don't really know what they're asking for.
It's like, it takes place in the same universe as Future Diary.
Or maybe it'll just end up being more Future Diary, just so Life will be really happy. There was a little bit of, I don't want to say controversy about this episode, because that's overselling it, but the way it ended with Rin kind of crying over the closing credits, not that she didn't have it coming, but I'm torn on whether that was, like, creepily effective, or whether that was actually so creepy they shouldn't have gone there. Because it does have kind of unfortunate implications. What did you think of that, Life?
Compared to Future Diary, that's really tame.
Yeah. A lot of characters got messed up in Future Diary.
Yeah, I mean, the whole premise of Future Diary, there's this kid who's depending on basically this psycho killer who's in love with him. And that's the basic premise of Future Diary.
A show I will probably never watch.
Rin actually reminded me a lot of Yuno, in that she looks a lot like Yuno, but she's not Yuno at all.
She doesn't have the psychotic yandere tendencies that Yuno had, right?
She's entirely just, I want to kill this dude. That's like her entire character so far.
At the end, did you think he was just like torturing her, or was he like making her into his minion or something?
Oh no, he was definitely mind controlling her. He's gonna make her do what he wants. I don't know what that'll be, but she'll become his pawn.
Yeah, I was just trying to decide at the end if she was becoming a pawn or if he was just torturing her because it's like, you hurt my sister, I'm going to show you. So.
Well, I actually know a little bit about what's coming because a lot of my friends are really excited for this and they've been telling me things. And that is, there's more than one character in this show that can mind control.
Oh, so you got like a big pile up of Professor X-like people.
Something like that. So I mean, basically my friend made it sound like she kind of, goes back and forth.
Oh dear. All right.
Doing mind controls. I don't know how bad it'll get, but...
Okay, so if you're someone who is highly sadistic, this is a show you should definitely be watching. We're going to move on to something I'm not watching, a Macross Delta episode 3, and since Well, Life, you talked about episode 1 a couple of weeks ago, but since we skipped 2, if you want to talk about 2 and 3, that's fine with me. So, Sal, you're caught up to date on this, so how's it going?
By what Life said about how the show had all these ridiculous and weird moments, like episode 2 and 3 just calmed down and started focusing on the plot development.
Yeah, it kind of just comes together after episode 1. And even when I went back and watched episode 1 later, after I had a chance to stop and process it, I was like, okay, this isn't nearly as weird as it was the first time I watched it.
Funny thing, too, like, when you told me that stuff when I was watching it, I was like, when I watched episode 1, I was like, this wasn't too bad. Like, I mean, if Macross 7 had a guy controlling a Valkyrie with an electric guitar while playing music, while dodging bullets and while dodging missiles, in hopes that everyone who's trying to kill each other, listen to his music and stop fighting, then Delta can do whatever it wants with the singing idols and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely not on that level of ridiculous. It's like I've also I was originally comparing it to Symphogear too, and nobody's punched through a mountain yet, so I guess we're really not on that level.
Also, I have a feeling that the people on the second planet, what was it called again? Like, yeah, the water planet.
I don't remember the names at this point.
It was started with an R, like Ragna. Yeah, but I think the people, the Earthlings and the Trotties from that planet were the ones from the Macross 7 crew. Because in episode 3, you actually see like a city that resembles part of the Macross 7 ship.
Is that what that is? I felt like when I was watching,
yes.
Like, oh, this is a reference to something that all the Macross fans out there are going to get.
Yes.
I have no idea.
It was also shown in the first episode of Delta as well, like the ship shown in the beginning. Like,
yeah.
I even went and Googled imaged it. It's like, yes, that is the Macross 7.
Have they confirmed it, or is it just are they just heavily hinting at it for the sake of the fans?
I mean, I haven't read if there's any confirmation, but from the visuals, it's like it has to be. I mean, considering that you also have Mirage is the niece of Maylene Genius and the granddaughter of Max and Melia. Yeah,
right. I keep hearing that too, but I'm not sure if that's actually been confirmed.
That one was confirmed. That one was confirmed by the staff. So,
all right.
So putting 2 and 2 together, yeah, this has to be the Macross 7 crew that were on that planet.
I've got a question because I've only seen one other Macross, and it was Macross Frontier. And in Macross Frontier, I get the sense that the world is ending and the whole universe is kind of bleak and the chances for humanity's survival are pretty bad.
Yep.
But now we're in a universe that feels more like Star Wars, where there's life everywhere.
Yeah, because pretty much in the original series, like, the Earth's surface actually got destroyed in the first series, which is why mankind is trying to explore the stars to find other planets to live on.
Okay, so I guess that this was a different group and they were successful?
Yes. So far, there was the first Macross group that left at the end of, like, that was hinted to be the original cast from the original series. Then there was the 7, and then there was a Frontier. So there's like the only ones we know of now, but there's probably more Macross ships out there that are searching for planets. Maybe some have found them, some haven't.
I want to ask you guys a question. Should I take up knitting so that while you guys are having these discussions, you can just hear the click-clack of my knitting needles very quietly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also they have mer kitties. They're like seals with cat heads.
Okay, I like how I start dropping subtle hints that maybe you should wrap up the Macross discussion, and Sal is like, I don't care. Let me tell you about the mascot characters. Seriously, though, is there any are you guys good with Macross? Because if you really want to talk about it more, I won't stand in your way. I just thought maybe you were coming to a logical stopping point.
Oh, I was gonna wrap it up if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
One last thing, I guess, that compared to the other shows, like, it's kind of cool how the 2 main characters are actually kind of developing before the actual fighting begins, whereas in the other shows, a lot of the characters are just thrown into the middle of fighting and then they just adapt as they're fighting people.
Yeah, I really like the protagonist. I know that I'm not supposed to like him, but maybe that's part of why I do like him.
All right, so you guys can discuss that again next week while I perhaps learn how to knit or crochet. I'm not really sure what the difference is between knitting and crocheting, but now is probably not the time to speculate. Let's move on to Kiznaiver episode 2. I like this episode quite a bit. I thought it was a good use of Trigger's kind of trademark energy without being so frenetic and over the top it gave you a headache. Even though maybe it was a little early or a little forced, I liked the interaction between Chidori, that's the redhead's name, and Agata, the gray-haired kid who doesn't feel pain. And the way Sonozuki or Sonozaki, whatever her name is, was standing there like with a megaphone while this was all going down. The only thing I didn't like about this episode is that they got the mission clear before Maki actually made her introduction. I'm not quite sure how that worked.
Yeah, that was like, huh? Like, I was confused.
Was that just like done for style reasons, or I don't know? Maybe
it was because she had off-screen confessed the answer where they couldn't hear her, and she'd confessed to I don't know. I can't. What is her name?
Maki? Oh wait, you mean the cute girl?
Sonozaki.
Sonozaki,
the crazy one, the emotionless one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say I'm actually kind of tired of characters like Sonozaki. And if you ask me, what other characters have you seen like her? I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I feel like it's been too many.
Yeah, like the emotionless expression.
Yeah, just, now it's gonna bother me that I can't remember any specific examples, but it's just one thing I didn't like about this episode is I was like, I'm tired of this character type. But I don't see how Maki confessing her sin just to Sonozaki would have worked, because I think the whole point of the self-introduction is they had to reveal their shameful secrets to each other, right? Maybe?
Yeah, I don't know, it was weird.
Okay, well, that's pretty much all I had to say on this episode. Anything further?
I thought it was, interesting to see where they're going with the character development and how quickly they're establishing the characters. In particular, I thought it was interesting how extreme all the characters kind of are. I don't know that it would work if they weren't as extreme as they are. That's kind of a question I've had running in the back of my head.
It didn't even occur to me to think of that. I was just like, well, these are characters here. These are...
I was saying, like, it also helps that Trigger just makes sure to give them, like, the most extreme expressions and exaggerated looks, like, whenever they're talking or reacting.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that stands out to me is, like, they keep saying that, well, they said in the beginning, this whole thing is an experiment to ultimately bring about world peace. Well, it doesn't really seem like there's much of an experiment going on, and if there is, we're not really privy to what the experiment part of all of this actually is. Because, I mean, they had a clear set of answers for these characters before they even started.
I'm kind of wondering, if they're gonna do later missions, like, will the missions start putting their life on the line, like where maybe they have to fight other people or do something that could.
They established a whole lot in 2 episodes, which makes me wonder what they're going to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know how they're having them fight would really work, because, well, obviously because of the whole pain mechanic, they have to do something that causes them pain, but none of them are fighters, right? So...
Yeah,
I mean, I kind of assume Sonozaki is going to do something terrible to them every week, but I don't know what that'll be.
It could be. Oh, and this show is getting a fair amount of attention because it has an opening by the Boom Boom Satellites, who I really like, actually, but maybe I've just never had the volume turned up loud enough, but the opening kind of leaves me cold. What do you guys think?
Oh, really? I actually really like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess it was thanks to Boom Boom doing the opening for Ninja Slayer that Trigger got him back again. So they got like this partnership going for future shows.
I'd be fine with that. I really like Back on My Feet, which was another anime opening, although the name of the anime is escaping me at the moment.
The best part of the anime was the opening.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe I just need to listen with the volume up so I can get some Boom Boom on. I don't know. I just haven't appreciated
I guess it was a lot more subdued than some other stuff. I don't know. I liked it though.
Well, quick question: did Boom Boom make their debut in anime through Zammed?
Yeah.
Yes, that was the name of it.
Right, and that was the show that had Back on My Feet as the opening. I'm pretty sure, even though I didn't see Zammed.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
There was another. They had another opening in that show too, or closing, or they did more music for that show as well.
I saw them live, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Ooh, nice! Congrats, Karen.
Back in 2010, and they're really good live. Because you know how some bands, the singer sounds really good on the CD, but then live there's only so much they can do. Like their singer can do everything he does on the recording live.
Nice.
Okay, I just dragged us on a total tangent, but it's Boom Boom Satellite, so it's worth it. Okay.
Yes.
We're going to move on to Twin Star Exorcists, Episode 2. I was pretty impressed with some of the animation in this episode. I saw the little plot twist about how they have to hook up and have a kid coming a mile away, which probably most people did. But I still liked it overall. I just find I don't really have that much to say about the show other than that it's very competent. LB, what'd you think of this one?
First off, I just need to say that Benio's familiar and her pajamas are probably one of the most adorable things I've seen in a very long time from Shonen Fight series. But other than that, I thought that this was, just a solid all-around episode that really got the main story moving in a forward direction. Like I mentioned last week, I have read a couple of volumes of the manga, I think like 3 or 4. But it's been a couple of months, so I only vaguely remember what's coming up after this. I do remember that some good stuff is coming. I don't remember a lot of exact details, but if you've enjoyed the first couple of episodes, you'll want to stick around for a while longer.
Oh, LB, quick question. Like, who licensed the Twin Star manga here in the U.S., in North America, if it is available here?
Viz did.
Nice.
Okay, see, LB, you're telling me that I have stuff to look forward to on the show is in some ways bad news because I'm looking for shows I can safely drop with a clear conscience. And it looks like this is not one of them. Although, to be fair, this really wasn't.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed the first couple of episodes, then you're going to enjoy the next couple of episodes.
Blast! Life, what do you think of this one?
First of all, I have to say that I hated the mascot. The little... No, didn't like him at all. I also know he was anime original. I was just kind of like, no, why would they add him? I probably raged about that for a good 10 minutes.
Merchandising.
Yeah, I know.
And then they tarnish the source material.
I haven't even read the manga. I just knew he wasn't in it, and I was like, I don't know. That doesn't even what bothered me. I just thought he was annoying. Anyway,
I don't even remember the mascot. Now I'm like, how can I not take part in a discussion about whether or not a mascot is cute, but just everything's blurring together still. So.
The saving grace is that he really didn't have that much screen time. Otherwise, I mean, I like the episode. I think it was interesting to note. The first thing, it was like, oh, this is totally from the same author as Bimbogami, and I can see his work here was when the authority figure, I can't think of his name now, but like the head exorcist guy shows up and he's in his boxers and he gives this completely ridiculous story about how he got there. The whole thing is just really disarming. And then after that, it goes straight from that into being like this super serious stuff that he says where he taunts the main character. And, I didn't hate him. And I think the reason I didn't hate him is because he was funny.
Good to hear that show also has comedic elements, because I know that Good Luck Girl was a comedy, right?
Yeah, Good Luck Girl was full of comedy.
Yeah, so far Twin Star Exorcist has a nice balance of comedy and action. So, shall see if they can maintain it. I'm going to move on to Super Lovers Episode 2. Okay, there was one thing I really liked about this episode and one thing I really didn't like. I really like the fact that Haru is a host, because I really was not expecting them to show that whole subculture in anime. It's usually something, like that whole host club scene is usually something that's completely ignored, at least in all the anime I've seen. And then I really didn't like the amnesia plot twist that now he doesn't remember Ren because he was in a car accident. That just annoyed me. That just made things unnecessarily contrived. But because I like Haru, I still kind of like it enough that I'll probably continue watching it, even if I'm kind of making fun of it on some level at the same time. Life, what'd you think of this?
I kind of feel the same way with the amnesia thing. It's like, really? Did they need that? I mean, I don't know what's going to come next, but it didn't seem like it was even necessary for where the story was going. Like, why does he have amnesia? It accomplishes nothing.
Well, I guess because then Ren has to earn his love all over again or something. I don't know.
Does he? I mean, it seemed like he won him over by the end of the episode.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so there's one more thing about Super Lovers, though. Why are the two other brothers such assholes?
Oh, you know what? They're all acting like jealous lovers. Everyone in the show is acting like a jealous lover. That's probably the weirdest aspect of it.
Yeah, because apparently, like, Haru works nights at these clubs doing kind of seedy work so he can get money so that his two little brothers can go to college. And then when it turns out they might have another brother, they're like, no, man, we will never accept this other brother. No, you're just ours. And then apparently, like, he got kicked out of the house after the parents died because, like, he wasn't blood related, so but they're still gonna take his money. Like, what the hell?
And what happened to his living mom? I mean, like, she just was like, oh, I don't care.
I know, right? I mean, they hinted that his mother was sort of an unconventional parent, but was she really that unconventional that she'd be like, I don't care if you go to an orphanage for 5 years. It's tough love.
Well, I mean, she didn't even care when he got kicked out.
Wow.
Yeah, somewhat. This show only makes sense if you assume everyone's parents are god-awful. Dead and alive.
It does seem that way.
Okay, I mean, I'd like to be able to say I'm dropping this because it doesn't have a lot of redeeming value, but I admit it, I like Haru. He's pretty and stuff, so I'm probably going to continue watching it. And you're probably going to continue watching it just out of curiosity, if nothing else, right?
I will for now, yeah. I am curious to see where they're going with it.
It's like Do It Life. That way it could be Karen's discussion partner every week for the series.
I can manage that, yeah.
There are worse shows to have to watch for that purpose. Like, imagine if it was, I don't know, Valve Rave or something.
Oh yeah, you have to deal with like both seasons of that series.
Yeah, why did I even mention that? Let's just strike that from all our memories. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea to even, jog my memory of that show. Okay, so we're going to move on to Bungo Stray Dogs episode 2, and I have a pretty definitive opinion on this episode, in that I thought this episode was a total waste. I'm going to look up his name now, because I actually took notes. So, damn it, I want to find his name. I have too many notes, I can't find it. God damn it. Oh, Nakajima. Nakajima didn't even turn into a tiger. What is the point of having a were-tiger if he doesn't turn into a tiger? And just, nothing about this episode was really compelling. They introduced Junichiro Tanizaki, who is another author I have read some of in real life, but nothing he did in this episode connected to what I know of him through what I've read of him. So, yeah, this episode was just a total miss for me, pretty much. LB, what about you?
I'd like to preface this with, I do still enjoy the series, but I agree with you that this episode felt like kind of a waste. A lot of the story elements felt really predictable to me. There were some parts that, struck me as interesting. When he covered himself up, when he covered the bomb at the end of the episode, I probably should have seen that coming, but I didn't, though I was sitting there wondering what exactly he was what he thought that was going to accomplish in a closed area like that.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it would be a very good strategy. Fortunately, it didn't end up mattering.
Yeah, and then there's something else about the series that kind of confuses me, and maybe this is just me, but is anybody... Because I know that the series is supposed to take place in modern times because they're using cell phones and everything, but the look of the series just always makes me think that it should be set in an older time. I'm not sure if it's just a general aesthetic of it or something else, but am I the only one who ever got that impression?
No, I got the same impression. I think it's kind of the same thing when they bring Sengoku characters into a modern time or something, where everyone's still wearing, or where at least those characters are all still wearing the outfits that look like they came from the Sengoku period. That's just kind of a anime thing. Does it make any sense? No.
Like that Sengoku collection show you watched in 2012, Life?
Yes, that would be one example, yes.
Yeah, I definitely had the same thought, especially in the first episode, because I don't think we saw them use a cell phone or anything like that in the first episode, so I was like, is this supposed to take place maybe in, I don't know, the 50s or something? But it does seem to be modern times, but I think because a lot of these authors lived from, first part of the 20th century, from 1890 to about 1950 or 1960. Some of the outfits reflect that. Not all of them, because I think Junichiro Tanizaki was just wearing I don't know, a t-shirt and a hoodie or something, but some of the characters kind of look era appropriate. So
okay, I was just really curious if I was the only one who was having that weird thought.
Yeah, definitely not just you. Life, what'd you think of this one?
I thought it was boring. I'm not really even sure what the show is about at this point, other than authors with superpowers.
Yeah, to be honest, this would be at the top of my drop pile, except an episode just came out today, which we're not covering until next week, but I've heard people saying really good things about it, so I'm like, okay, I'll give it another episode, but if I hadn't heard... Yeah.
Don't tell me that.
I know, if I hadn't heard good things about episode 3, I would definitely be dropping this, but as it stands, I'm gonna give it one more week. What about you, LB? You still on board for another week at least?
Yeah, at least one more week, if not longer.
And Nakajima damn well better turn into a tiger in that episode. That's all I can say. Be very upset if he doesn't. Okay, so speaking of being upset, move on to Anne Happy episode 2. Let's see about this one. I like the fact that Anne's unluckiness takes such an amazing, over-the-top supernatural form that not only, when she goes to get drinks from a vending machine, not only does she get the wrong drinks, but she gets drinks they don't even sell in that machine. Like, I thought that was really clever. I'm kind of so-so on the mascot character. I wasn't sure if he really fit in the setting or if they really needed him, but on the whole, I found the episode entertaining. LB, let's go back to you, since you had the most to say about Anne Happy last week. How'd you feel about this one?
I didn't find anything, wrong with this episode, but I didn't see anything particularly special about it either. It was cute in places, but it wasn't particularly funny or anything to me, so I don't think I'm going to stick with this one past this week.
Okay, fair enough. Life?
I'm still loving it. I don't know. I kind of think the whole luck thing and the way it's being portrayed is just really funny to me.
Yeah, the only issue I have with that is that I think Hibari, the purple-haired girl, she needs another gig besides being in love with the construction guy sign, because it's been 2 episodes and that is already old to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she's kind of like the straight man of the series, and I don't know. I mean, she's really not that funny. I didn't really feel like she needs to be funny. She's actually the lucky one of the bunch. In a sense.
Actually, because you notice when they're checking out the clubs and she goes to the cooking club and it's totally normal, the oven doesn't explode or anything.
Right. She could actually cook, and she could have actually, gone home with, or she could have actually joined the club and wouldn't have to be part of the quote unquote going home club, because she's a functional human being at least.
She's really should not be in this class. Come to think of it.
No, yeah, her whole reason for being in there is just because of the how her ridiculous infatuation with a fictional character. Is fictional even accurate? A fake character?
I don't even know how you would describe. It's like a fictional mascot anthropomorphization sort of thingy. I don't know.
It's fiction to her, right?
Yeah. There's something else I was going to say about Anne Happy. Let me go back to my notes. Which are turning out to be, so useful. Not at all. Because by the time I, actually get the note in front of me, it's this is taking way too long. And apparently I have nothing in my notes that I haven't already said. Thanks a lot, self. Okay. All right, let's move on to High School Fleet Episode 2, or High Fury. We were speculating last week that maybe the plot would be resolved very quickly and it would go back to being fluffy slice-of-life adventures, and apparently no. It does seem like they're serious about the plot of this anime. So that, I suppose, is a positive. Another thing that was a positive is we got the backstory this time, and apparently this anime takes place in an alternate universe where World War II never happened, which sort of makes it more interesting for me. And if I'd actually paid attention...
Is that the case? Is it a universe where World War II never happened, or is it a universe that's long after World War II?
No, I think it would have to be where World War II never happened, because when the mother is explaining the origin of the Blue Mermaids, Mashiro's mother, she says, after the Russo-Japanese War, because of mining, Japan started losing its land. I guess it was because of erosion or something. So. Oh,
I missed the fact that it was a real event that she actually...
Yeah, she specifically name-dropped the Russo-Japanese War, so I assume...
Oh, yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, this has to be an alternate universe where World War II never happened, because right after that point, then the Blue Mermaids were established, and they purposely made the ships so that they wouldn't, do wars, or in any case, in any event, if World War II happened in this universe, it would be a very, very different World War II.
Yeah, well, I think that might actually... Well, I was gonna call it World War III, but now you've told me that, I guess maybe this what's actually starting here is actually World War II in its own way.
Yeah, and now this show that I kind of wanted to drop is getting interesting. And okay, it's going to be lame if I keep saying that about 10 different shows, but it's true. I wanted some of these to be dumb and stupid so I could drop them and be I don't even care, and that's not happening.
Does that mean that they're going to introduce the High School Fleet version of Hitler towards the season finale?
Well, here's the thing. They already... Here's the thing: the German ship, they actually rescue, or not the German. Well, they get attacked by a German ship in the second episode, and they rescue a German captain.
Maybe it's actually all a allegory for World War II, and we're just not smart enough to see it yet. I don't know. LB, how'd you feel about this one?
I'm still really digging on this series, specifically because they seem to be really serious about having a story that's going to unfold throughout the rest of the season. I walk back a little bit of what I said last week. Now that I, had seen what they're going for or have a taste of what they're going for, I think that I probably would have dropped it if it had just been a fluffy slice of life. But since they really seem to be telling an interesting story so far, yeah, I'm really on board with this. Though I have to say that if they plan on ending every single episode with a cliffhanger like they have with the first two, it's going to get really frustrating.
I wasn't really frustrated by the cliffhanger. I was just like, oh, the show is continuing to have a plot. Amazing.
Yeah, actually, the cliffhanger was the reason I got to the end and I did feel like I needed to drop it.
Yeah,
it was like that was the big indicator for me. Like, okay, they are taking this seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would get annoying if they did a cliffhanger every episode, but I'm just so happy that they seem to actually have a real legitimate direction that it probably wouldn't even bother me that much. Okay, so we're sticking with High School Fleet for a little while. Let's move on to Flying Witch episode 2. I enjoyed this episode. It's actually reminding me quite a bit of the manga Yotsuba, even though Yotsuba has, to the best of my knowledge, no witches in it at all. It's just kind of like a discovering the magical things in life that are right in front of you. It seems like there's actually not that much focus on actual magic. And the second half of the episode, really, you could have had Makoto not be a witch and it wouldn't have been any different at all, which was kind of interesting to me. So, Life, what'd you think?
I'm loving it. Yotsuba, yeah, that kind of works. I keep thinking of Arya, the whole pacing of it just reminds me of that. It's very laid back, very at its own pace. It actually says that multiple times.
Just to make sure,
saying it to each other.
Arya, the anime that takes place on the terraform Mars, like the gondolas.
Oh yes, not the other Arya. Yes.
Oh yeah, wasn't there one like Arya on the Crimson Bullet or something or other?
Like the Scarlet Apple, right?
I am not talking about that.
Okay. Because I think I actually need to go back and watch the good Arya. I was aware there was a good Arya and a bad Arya, and I didn't want to watch the wrong one.
Arya. I think it's just called Arya the Animation, Arya the Origination. I forget which one is first, but it's one of the best slice of life shows. You remember episode 9 of Supersonico? I know you watched that.
I remember Supersonico, but was 9 the one
it's
where
the one
she goes on vacation? She goes on a trip?
Yeah, it's the one where she goes on a road trip.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, that feel of that episode is pretty much how every episode of Arya is.
Okay, yeah, I definitely have to watch that show then. Okay.
And there's supposed to be a new Arya project coming out soon, too.
Oh, really? Huh.
Oh, that's neat. Awesome.
Learning new things. The only issue I have with Flying Witch is that I just don't really have much to say about it. It's like, okay, the tone is kind of reminiscent of Yotsuba, and that's good. And it's just kind of like with Yotsuba, you don't really want to discuss it. You just want to sit there with a big stupid grin on your face, you know?
I've got one other thing I can throw out, and that is the whole thing with the fairy that comes to visit in the first part of the episode. I'm calling him a fairy because I don't remember what they called him. The Harbinger of Spring?
Right.
Is Chinatsu, are they hinting that maybe she has witch powers too? I mean, because she was able to see him, and it didn't, he's just walking down the street. Nobody else seems to care.
I'm not going to say you're wrong, but that didn't occur to me. I just thought that, the supernatural entities in the show just really don't care if anyone discovers them. I guess they just keep getting away with it, so they've stopped caring. I don't know. Yeah,
but he seemed pretty surprised that she, ran away from him.
You know, if it turns out that she is a witch in training, or, well, I guess she wouldn't be in training yet, but anyway, if it turns out that she is a witch, that would give the show somewhere to go, as opposed to just being slice of life all the time. But, yeah, that didn't even occur to me, so it's interesting that you noticed that, so I'm gonna be watching for that now.
Cool.
I have to yawn. Oh no, stop.
Wait, what's happening?
I'm just yawning, that's all.
Okay, I heard you, saying stop, and...
No, it's not like the end of Big Order. Oh, wait. That's a horrible joke. Okay.
Okay, I'll calm down now.
Okay. Moving on to Tanaka-kun is always listless. I really like this episode because I liked the first episode too, but, you know, the slow pace, I liked it up to a point, but it definitely was kind of borderline dull, whereas in this episode, introducing, I think, Miyako? Let me check my useless goddamn notes one more time. Miyano. Yeah, introducing her kept the show at a faster pace, and it was just really sweet and funny. And there's just something inherently funny about someone who, like, is really industrious in their quest to become listless, like the way she's like, I'll give it my all, and he's like, no, don't give it your all, just do whatever. And she's like, okay, I'll give it my all to do whatever. And, like,
yeah, she was fantastic.
I think she's cuter than all the Moe girls in the Moe shows this season.
You're right, she is.
Anything else to say about this episode, or is it just, man, that was cute?
I think, man, that was cute sums it up pretty well.
Yeah, what is it with these shows that are, like, so competent we have, like, nothing to complain about? Damn. Alright. So, we'll just take advantage of the opportunity to move on quickly, too. And You Thought There Was Never a Girl Online, Episode 2. I'm continuing to like this series much more than I expected to. And I think, I don't want to say it's deep, because I think that would be maybe going overboard, but I think there's merit to asking the question, is Akko the one that's kind of out of it, or is everybody else kind of out of it? Because people keep saying over and over again, the game and real life are different, the game and real life are different. And in this case, you know, maybe it's not that different, considering they all know each other, they all go to the same school, and they all get along in real life. You know, maybe Akko's not so crazy to think, well, if I like you in the game, and I know you, and I also like you, you know, there isn't that big a separation. So I found that aspect of it interesting.
You know, that's actually an interesting perspective. I hadn't really thought about that all that much. I hadn't really thought about it in that way, is a much better way of phrasing it. Yeah, I mean, my initial perspective was that, I mean, I've known people in my life in the past, and there are probably occasions where I've been that person without even realizing it, that, you know, has trouble separating the two worlds between the fantasy and the reality. And so I like Akko, but I'm a little leery about continuing because I like her. I don't want to see her friends break her reality bubble. She's in her comfortable little reality bubble, and they're trying to shatter that. And I'm not entirely sure if I really want to watch that. I'm probably going to keep watching the series all the way through. My wife is really enjoying it as well, so that's an extra incentive for me. But yeah, just part of me has that little voice in the back of my head going, this could be bad.
I don't think they're going to go there. I think they're actually more likely to go in the other direction. I think the other characters are going to start to think more like Akko. I mean, that's just me totally just guessing. I haven't read whatever source material there may or may not be, but that's just, that's how I came away from this episode feeling, at least.
Yeah, I came away feeling the same way. I came into the series originally thinking, you know, Akko is going to be another Junebio character, because that's been a really popular thing in anime lately. And you know, they kind of treat her like she is, but when you're listening to what she actually says, and you know, there's little hints too that the show understands that she's not entirely crazy or entirely wrong. Like the what is her name? The president council girl,
purple hair girl,
purple hair, yeah. You know, she totally takes Akko's side toward the end, and I kind of got the hit. I kind of got the feeling like even if everyone else continues trying to shatter her bubble. And even if Akko really does get put in an awkward situation, the president girl's going to bring it all back.
Yeah, I think the president girl, yeah, she also wasn't really that adamant. Like, oh, the game is one thing and the reality is another. It was protagonist boy and tsundere girl who were like that.
And Pig-chan.
Pig-chan, right. You see how well my list of names is working out. That
we remember Akko's name at least.
I remembered Akko's name, so you know that's a big step forward. But I was actually thinking during the show that it's almost like kind of a generations of the internet thing. That kind of when MMOs were first coming around, you had to be really worried. not really worried, but like it was very likely that people were not who they said they were. And now that like everyone's kind of so used to being online, it's almost like making up these fake personalities for most people isn't even worth the effort anymore. So it's almost like assuming that a lot of the people you meet online will be presenting themselves in good faith is actually not a stupid idea anymore.
I've got another thing to add to that too. And that is, even people that do go around making personas, those personas become really important to them. I can say that personally, like, I'm going by Lifesong here. That's a valuable identity to me at this point. It wasn't necessarily when I created it. And, I kind of, when I first got into MMOs, I totally thought the same way, the protagonist. I remember his game name. I don't remember his real name. Russian. I'm just going to call him Russian because it's easy to remember. His whole, I've got this persona that I've created in a game where I'm a nice hero character, and I'm an asshole in real life. And, that's, I kind of relate with where he's coming from, but at the same time, I think that where they're going with it is the same place that I went when I was going through that experience. And there's really not that much of a difference. You're the same person regardless of whether or not you're role-playing.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be very successful at being an asshole in real life, if that's his goal.
No, he's not. He says on multiple occasions that he is, but he's not selling it very well.
Although there was one moment, and this might have just been the way Crunchyroll subbed it, where Ako's talking about healing. No, they're talking about like buffing your armor or your weapon. She's like, "Well, it doesn't really matter what I do because I'm the healer, so everybody's gonna kill the monsters, and I don't have to do anything." And he's like, he says something to her like, "You should go die in a fire" or something like that.
Yeah, he said something mean. I was okay with that just because that's exactly how that conversation would go in an actual MMO. So.
Yeah, the conversations when they're actually talking about their actions in the game seem very real to me, which is another.
Yeah, they were spot on. I'm loving that.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of the surprise hit of the season, at least for me, because I thought this was going to be a one and done, and clearly it's not. Okay, so let's move on to 3 Leaves, 3 Colors, episode 2. Now this is weird, because I remember I somewhat enjoyed this episode while I was watching it, but honestly I have no memory of what happens. I know that it had something to do with Teru with her sister, that her sister is introduced, and her sister has a very different personality, but I honestly don't remember what else even happens in this episode. Life, can you, enlighten me here?
No, you summed it up pretty well. That's what happens.
Maybe they ate more bread at some point. I don't know.
There was a bunch of jokes about the characters. I think what they were really trying to do is make sure that we really understand what the characters are and their dynamics, so that we can we can sort of predict and understand what's going to happen. And I found myself even doing that in the episode. Like there's a scene with the Ojo-sama. I can't remember her name now. The used to be rich girl where she's trying to buy
Yoko. Haha.
Yoko. Yeah.
I knew a name. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And she's in the shop, and there's all the housewives in there trying to compete for the cheap items, and Yoko pops out with her mayo, and she's super excited, and they all just kind of facepalm. And the reason I thought that joke worked so well is because I knew that she was going to be in there. So I guess I'm starting to enjoy how the calling them predictable seems like the wrong way to put it. But I kind of know where they're going to go with everything at this point. The jokes make sense. I loved the whole evil president thing. Even her friends think that the class rep. Sorry, even their friends think she's secretly a demon.
Yeah, she's the most interesting character so far. Well, I don't know if I want to say that. I like Yoko and her I used to be rich, but now I eat bread crust thing. They're getting more mileage out of that than you might think. I don't know. I can't believe I might be dropping the show, but it's just it's perfectly nice, it's perfectly pleasant, but there's just so much, and this episode I didn't remember, So
I got you. It's not like Engaged the Unidentified was a lot more interesting. This isn't really interesting. It's just characters being funny.
Yeah, you know what the show is? This is someday, a couple of months from now, I'll be in a bad mood, and I'll be like, you know what, I need to pick me up, and I'll shotgun 10 episodes of the show, and I'll feel better. But
yeah, and you'll probably love it.
Yeah, but I don't know if watching it week to week is something I need to do right now. So
yeah, I might be in the same boat actually. I'm gonna stick it out for a little bit longer, but
okay, so we might be dropping. Okay, can we just say we're dropping it for the sake of the podcast because we have to drop something?
Sure, let's drop it, because that seems fair. There's not that much to say about it anyway.
Okay, yay, we've dropped one show. Go on. Okay. Alright, that brings us to Shonen Maid, episode 2. This is another episode I actually don't remember that clearly, because I think I saw it earlier in the week or something, but I remember I still thought it was good. I still enjoyed the character interaction, but kind of in the same boat as Three Leaves, Three Colors, where it's perfectly good and inoffensive, but I don't find it over-the-top funny, so it doesn't have a lot to offer. Like, the first episode had kind of the got you right in the feels with the stuff about his mom, but they can only mine that for so long, so I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it at this point. LB?
There are 2 shows this season that I'm considering my feel good. It doesn't matter what mood I'm in when I start it, I'm gonna feel better when I finish it series for the season, and this is one of them. This is just really fun for me. It makes me feel happy. So I'm definitely going to be sticking with it. I actually did have a couple of things about this episode that I found interesting, though. First one is, I believe her name is Miyako, the new character that they introduced.
Yeah, Miyako, the maid.
Yeah, when she trains to be a maid. I thought it was really half funny, half confusing that during the first half of the episode, she goes there, she trains to be a maid, her father arrives and just throws this big fit, and you are never allowed to see this guy again, and la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then 2 minutes later, there she is again, taking cooking lessons. It's like, wow, her dad got over that really fast.
I don't think her dad got over it. I think she doesn't care.
Yeah. The other thing that I took away from this episode is that, and the thing that made me feel really good, is that I was really glad that Chihiro, the main character, has really good friends who didn't make fun of him after they found out what was going on. I thought that was a really nice change of pace. It would have been really easy for them to turn it into this big dramatic, my friends hate me and, they're making fun of me for this, but they stuck by him, which I just thought was a really nice touch.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even remember that until you brought it up, but I think I was expecting them to go for kind of like really low-hanging fruit humor there, like, ha ha ha, you're wearing a maid costume, that's for a girl, but they really didn't. They were above that.
I almost felt like, they missed the obvious joke. I don't know.
So, did they miss an obvious joke for good humanitarian reasons? I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, I also had that feeling like, well, it's nice that they didn't just go to like the really obvious, like, oh, you're dressed like a maid well. So, even though the concept seems to practically cry out for it.
Right.
So, okay, Shonen Maid continuing to be pretty solid. Okay, so that brings us to The Lost Village, which is a completely different ball of wax. I was distracted while I was watching this episode because I was thinking to myself, because of all the screaming in this episode, so many people are probably going to drop it just because characters are yelling at each other. But it's like, the whole tone of this episode is that, the whole show, really, but this episode in particular is really like theater of the absurd, just constantly people screaming banalities and things like that, and just things in general not making sense, and so on and so forth. But as a result of that, it has a very abrasive tone, and I think a lot of people are being turned off to that, not realizing that the abrasive tone is probably entirely deliberate. Although, of course, if they don't like it, they don't like it, and that's fine. It's just, I'm really confused whether Okada is trying to do this whole theater of the absurd thing deliberately. I mean, I assume she probably has a literature background, so she must know what she's doing, but I just was really flummoxed by this episode.
I think she does know what she's doing. I'm watching it, and I'm seeing, like, I'm not going to try to theory craft this week, but I'm seeing so many little details that are like, that's intentional. I know that's intentional. I don't know why they did it. Like, Misaki, when they're all accusing her of lying. There's this real sense that she's telling the truth, but she really doesn't like it when the protagonist says, you did nothing wrong. And, there's that seemed like it was emphasized to me, and I'm stopping and noticing that, and I noticed stuff like that all throughout the episode, and all throughout the other 2 episodes as well. There's obviously something here. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, it seems like it's the kind of show that rewards careful viewing. We just don't know how yet. But since I was completely confused by this episode in terms of what it was trying to accomplish, I've come up with my own theory, which for me makes life better. It is the Lost Village and Kuma Miko shared universe theory. What this entails, now hear me out, what this entails is that the bear they're all talking about is actually Natsu from Kuma Miko, and he just doesn't want any of these assholes getting near his precious Miko. So when they all start dying, it's just because Natsu is like, get out of here. I have enough trouble, keeping this girl from going off to the city. I don't need any of you assholes coming here, putting strange ideas in her head. So, and I think they take place in geographically approximately the same area, so why not?
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. That would explain everything.
I'll buy that theory.
Or it could also be it's not just that he doesn't want these assholes near his precious Machi. It could be that he's afraid if she goes next door and starts talking to them, they'll tell her stuff about the city, and then she really will be able to go to high school, and he can't have that.
Would that work though? Because if she actually talked to them, wouldn't she want nothing to do with the city?
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that Natsu is making the right choice here. He's a bear, his social skills may be limited.
This is true.
I put so much more thought into this theory than anything else regarding the Lost Village. And I say that knowing full well that if I was paying attention, I'd probably go back later and be like, oh yeah, they totally foreshadowed that, and oh, I should have seen that coming, but I was just too lost by wow, this is such a weird tone for this show to be taking that I think I missed a lot of the details. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how much the show actually does, how much Okada really does know what she's doing, I guess.
If it continues the way it is now, I get the feeling we're not really going to know until she drops the bomb and it all comes together. And that'll probably be the end of the show.
Probably we'll have to wait until halfway through the spring season to find out, probably.
If not later.
I wouldn't expect anything before episode 7 to really make sense.
Yeah. We're going to have a long road ahead of us, won't we, with this show? You know what? I'll just make up increasingly outlandish stories about Natsu the bear. So, and then our discussing Kuma Miko will become totally irrelevant because I'll already discuss him in the Lost Village section.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of observations, like I have a feeling that the main character's tendency to stick up for certain people might bite him in the ass. I mean,
you know what?
The situation with the one girl, the fact that his best friend keeps telling him is like, look, if you listen to me, everything will be okay. If not, then...
You know what? I've actually got a thought on that. I think, if I'm reading the show right, his intuition is generally correct.
Okay.
And that his best friend is actually the one he should not be listening to.
Well, I just remember in that scene his best friend said, hey, you've listened to me so far and it's worked out great until now. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a great situation you got yourselves into.
I get the feeling that his friend, you have what's-her-name already hinting that he might be gay. I wouldn't be shocked if they actually go there.
Well, that's another thing to watch for. I'm sorry, Sal, I completely forgot until you started talking about it that you were actually caught up on this show. Anything else you wanted to say about it?
Yeah, I'm also hoping what they're going to do with the one character the one who kind of ended up murdering his other classmates because of bullying.
Did he murder them?
Yeah, I think they did say that because he did go to jail for it. I don't remember.
Either
he murdered them or he got close to murdering them. I think he strangled them, maybe. One of those two.
It was a stab.
Oh yeah, it was. All right, so it was a stab.
I don't think they specified that he actually killed someone. I could be remembering wrong, but I think he stabbed and did jail time for it, but was not actually a murderer. Because for one thing, if he was a murderer, he'd still be in jail, right? I mean, one would assume.
Well, he's like. I kind of felt weird about that in general. How old is he? What would they do with him?
I guess he just went to juvie, probably.
I assume he'd still be in juvie and not, hanging around in Nanaki Village. Whenever I say Nanaki Village, I think of Nanaki from Final Fantasy VII, and it's really distracting. Just wanted to get that out of my system. Okay, so we ready to move on to ReZero Episode 3?
Sure.
Okay, this was a pretty action-packed episode, and I enjoyed the action, except for the fact that it was so dark inside that room they were in, it was a little bit hard to follow what was going on at times. But, okay, let me check my notes, because they've been so helpful up to now. ReZero. Oh, okay, finally, my notes reminded me of something I might have forgotten. I did not understand what was going on in the end with Reinhardt and Felt. What made him suddenly realize he had to abduct her? Did you catch that?
He looked at the insignia. I'm not entirely sure what the insignia was doing that caused him to react that way, but I'm assuming that something to do with the insignia. Probably she's, I'm gonna guess she's royalty or something like that, and he discovered it because of the magic of the insignia. I'm making stuff up though. I don't know what happened. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, that did occur to me just because not that she was royalty, but just that the insignia was doing something and that clued him into her identity. As to what that identity was, I have no idea. But,
yeah, I don't know.
I thought about that because that was the only thing I could think of, but I was wondering if maybe I just missed something and it was actually explained.
No, I went back through quite a bit actually looking for that, and I couldn't find it.
Okay, I'm glad you did, because I thought of doing that, but I never actually did it. So
I spent the whole episode wondering whether or not they were going to die again. I like the way that it's going with the whole fantasy fights where I don't know whether or not the good guys are going to win.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, because of the whole die, start over mechanism. Instead of just assuming the good guys are going to win, because they usually do, they could totally lose at any point in this show, which is interesting.
So far, they don't have a very good track record, and Elsa has proven to be pretty much terrifying.
Yeah, like, what happened? Did she, like, lose a chunk of her foot, but then she just, like, replaced it with crystal or something? She's like, I'm good.
She didn't lose her foot. Her shoe was stuck, and she just made a new shoe out of the crystal.
Oh, okay. See, I thought it was actually scarier, and she was like, "Oh, I don't even mind losing body parts. It's all cool."
Oh no, that would have been a lot more terrifying, but I don't think that's what happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Elsa doesn't really need to get any more terrifying.
No, she really doesn't.
Yeah, and do you remember in the first episode they showed a girl kind of like landing in a volcano, and then it turns into like a snowscape? Do you think that was the real Satella, who we haven't seen yet, maybe? Possibly?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't have any further theories on Satella or Amelia or what their connection might be.
Okay, because up until this episode, I thought that Amelia really was Satella. Now I'm inclined to think they're actually two different people. We shall see. So, moving on to Joker Game, Episode 3. I finally have something to criticize Joker Game for. Yay! Okay, I thought it was kind of silly. Not that the spy got amnesia in the first place, because getting hit in the temple with a rifle will do that to you. But the fact that his amnesia was undone by getting conked on the head again, that seemed kind of ridiculous. But other than that, I thought it was a really fun episode. It was surprising because I didn't expect like a 3-year time skip. Changing setting to France was interesting, and it just kept surprising me, really. What do you think of this one? Life?
I thought it was neat the way they kind of, there's this real sense of Japan did some really awful things in this war, and they're digging into the theme, and they jumped, instead of going to Japan's atrocities, they jumped straight to Germany. I'm like, okay, well, I guess you could pass the buck, and it kind of worked, but it was weird at the same time. Like, yeah, are they trying to say Germany is the whole reason Japan had to do these awful things? I don't know. I mean, I don't think they were, but
I feel pretty confident it's not going to go there, just because I feel like the author of this would have to be smarter than that. But I mean, they did kind of give a tacit acknowledgement of what was going on at the time, because at one point, someone in the resistance group, I guess, wants to abandon the spy. Because they're like, he's Japanese, you know what the Japanese army is doing right now. And someone else says, yeah, but he's not the Japanese army. He's just, this kid. So
right.
They did give it something of an acknowledgement. I guess you could make the argument that's really not enough. But I think it's too early to call it at this point.
More so than anything, I'm trying to read the theme of where they're going with it, because they didn't do anything that bothered me in the actual episode. It's just interesting to note the way they kind of passed the buck to Germany. Oh yeah, we got to sign up with Germany because France is worthless.
Well, actually, at the end of the episode, when this Colonel Yuki is there, and the spy is like, "Oh, because he's here now I know I can't stay in France," or something. I didn't quite get that. Was he just saying, like, because the situation now requires Yuki's presence, that means that things have gotten serious and it's time to move on to phase 2 or something? I didn't quite get where they were going with that.
No, I think that what they were trying to accomplish, if I understood what was going on there, I don't think it was necessarily that Yuki was there, but what he was saying about how Japan's made its decision and there's no further need for spying on the resistance because they've completely abandoned any hope of the resistance actually being fruitful.
See, I didn't even think they were spying on the resistance. I thought maybe they were spying on the resistance to give that information to Germany. So,
no, they hadn't sided with Germany yet. The reason that I was talking about the whole passing of the buck thing is because what they were, I think, if I understood what was going on, when they got to the end of the episode, what they were saying was, and what Miyoshi was so shocked about was that, or was it Miyoshi? No, Hanto. I can't remember their names.
Well, this show especially, I think we shouldn't even bother because they're supposed to look alike. I think so. The only one I know is Colonel Yuki, who is my waifu, and that's all.
The spy gets to the end of his episode and the end of his stuff, and he's looking back at what's happened, and he realizes that Yuki being there and Yuki saying what he's saying means that Japan has allied with Germany, and they're done with what they were doing. His job there is finished because it's no longer important.
Okay, I guess I was just up in the air as to what his purpose spying there in the first place was. So, well,
I think that was awkward actually because it was clearly his work there clearly didn't come to any fruition.
Yeah, but now that they've allied with Germany, presumably they can say, well, we've had an insider in the resistance, and this is what we found out. So.
Yeah, I mean, the awkward part about all the observations in the episode was that his observation, what he found, isn't what made them decide to abandon. He didn't actually do anything important. He was just there.
Yeah. Yeah, so an enjoyable episode in that it kept me guessing through it and stuff, but a little bit weird in terms of where the series seems to be going. So, anything further on Joker Game?
Just that I'm still really fascinated to see where they're going with it.
Alrighty, and I'm going to be keeping an eye out for the whole pass the buck thing. Let's see if that's what they're doing. Okay, so we're going to move on to Kuma Miko Episode 3, the show where we really like it, but boy, do we have a bone to pick with the director, I think. Because I think the director of the show has decided that Machi must be sexy, even though she's only 14 years old and she really should be more adorable than sexy, but they added like a sexual joke to this episode where there didn't need to be one, and also it wasn't just that one joke. It was like all the camera angles in this episode, it seemed like they were always emphasizing like her thighs and just her legs in general, and once or twice it wouldn't have bothered me, but like all in all, it all added up to like giving me a creepy vibe. But the thing is, the source material is so strong that I'm still enjoying the show anyway. I'm just kind of annoyed that whoever's directing or at least storyboarding the series seems to have a perv thing going on for Machi. LB, what did you think?
There were so many things about this episode that I enjoyed, that the little things, like the negative things, I should say, didn't really stack up in comparison. Like I saw you guys chatting about this, over the last week, in particular, was Yoshio pinning down Machi when he got upset with her. And I can totally understand that being unsettling. It unsettled me. But when I compared it to the other things that I really enjoyed about the episode, I enjoyed, like, in the very beginning when Machi mixes her Kagura dancing with exercise. I thought that was hilarious. I laughed so hard at that. So, I mean, overall, I'm still really enjoying it, and any cons that I can think of from week to week just don't stack up in comparison to the parts that I'm enjoying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still with you in that I think what's good about the show overall definitely outweighs the bad. It's just, it's almost like it's just unfortunate it has to have this one kind of unsightly flaw. Lifesong, what'd you think?
I'm with you with the whole. I wish they were doing something different with. I didn't notice the angles that you pointed out until you pointed them out. But like Yoshio's character in particular, part the perv thing, I don't find him funny in the anime. I kind of just find myself cringing every time he shows up because it's like I remember him being funny when I read the manga, and I'm not laughing at him when he shows up in the anime. Well,
you were saying last episode that they kind of, in the manga it's more apparent that they're all kind of country bumpkins, and the anime doesn't play that up as much. And I think Yoshio in the first episode where the police car is driving around saying, hey, you people need to watch out for bears, he's like, oh my god, you people have a car. So it's kind of like the anime has robbed him of his innocence.
Yeah, I mean, because he is supposed to be like he is supposed to be like a country bumpkin, and there's when he pins Machi to the floor, it's like any chance that the discrimination joke was going to be funny is just gone. It's ruined in that moment.
Well, the thing is, there was no reason for him to do that. Like the base joke where like he sees her in her underwear and then she punches him and then he's like, why did you not punch Natsu? She's like, because Natsu's a bear, you moron, is inherently kind of funny, but then they ruined it.
Right. But then they ruined it. Yeah. And that's just kind of how I feel like they're going with his character in general. Like, every time he shows up, something like that happens.
Yeah, hopefully he won't be in it much more. I don't know. One other thing I wanted to mention about this episode is that we have that flashback sequence where Machi was apparently in a trance when she was younger, and that's how they found out she had Miko powers. And Natsu says, I only recently came to realize, what you were saying at that time. Does anyone know, like, what she was supposed to be saying?
Yes, because that's actually what got me into the series. One of my friends was talking about the idol. She is that is a pop singer that she's singing the name of. I will link it to you later. But the pop singer, basically a popular Japanese artist who makes really weird music videos.
Wait, so was the joke that Machi...
It's a reference joke.
But was she, like, singing the artist's song before it had been recorded or something?
She was just singing the artist's name before the artist was famous. Because this would have been right when the artist first got famous, was the time the manga was first made. And so that's a flashback to before that would have happened. I think all of that was real obvious.
Quick question. Was the idol reference Kiari Pamu Pamu or a different idol?
That's who it was.
Yeah, and
she's saying her name over and over.
A lot because her videos are always very surreal and stuff.
Yeah, she's saying her name over and over again. Yeah.
Okay, since the manga is now licensed, I'm not sure by whom, but since it's licensed, I wonder how they're going to translate that joke. That might be kind of... Yeah,
I wonder. I mean, it was one of those jokes that was... It was almost like putting a meme in your show. It was funny when it first came out, and nobody's going to get it 3 years later, which is what you experienced.
Yeah. All right, so Kuma Miko, even though I'm a little bit annoyed with the director, or maybe I'm blaming the director wrongly. Maybe someone else is storyboarding these episodes. I don't know. But
someone's on the staff.
There's someone on the staff we should be mad at. We'll figure it out by the end of the show. Nevertheless, it's still a good show, and we still like it. So definitely not dropping that. Which brings us to Cerebrus, episode 3. I actually like this episode more than I thought I was going to. It's like I keep waiting for a reason to drop Cerebrus, and it keeps giving me just one more reason to hang on, because it introduced... What is her name? Let me check my notes. Serato, or Dragon Girl. And I thought her shtick was actually really funny. I like when she first starts collecting pebbles, and they're like, yo, this girl is kind of weird. They just kind of like slowly tiptoe out of the frame, hoping she won't notice them. Like, just everything with her I thought was pretty funny. And I also like the way that that hero protagonist, we shall call him, like, very easily gets knocked out when, like, he's just like, I'm gonna be a hero now, and he just gets, like, tapped on the back of the head and gets knocked out. I just like the fact that they're not making him, invincible godlike swordsman, that sort of thing. So, it's still kind of a middling anime, but I just find I like what it's doing. What'd you think of this, Life?
I'm in the same boat. I'm enjoying it. It's the sort of thing I know I'd watch any season that didn't have a bunch of stuff I really like. I thought the heroine was cool too. I'm liking her weirdness and their reaction to her weirdness. It's probably the best thing the show has going for it right now.
Yeah, like the part where the street urchin is breaking into the rich guy's house so he can save Hero, and then she just like magically appears behind him, like, "Oh, are you going to Hero now?"
Right. She's just bizarre, and then you have the little twist at the end where it winds up being that she's somehow related to the guy who's creating all these weapons for the war that's about to happen. And
yeah, and the opening hints that she may have some connection to the dragon, but I could be reading too much into it.
I'm actually thinking that the dragon might not be the evil bad guy they're all thinking it is.
Well, the narrator actually introduces him as the evil dragon, Dagon Zod or whatever his name is, but I guess the narrator could just be wrong.
Yeah, well, they introduce him as the evil dragon, but and they tell you like all these awful fears they have about him. What did he actually do?
Yeah, that's true. We don't really know.
Countryside?
What?
Well, why? He raised some countryside, maybe? We don't really know what he did. Everyone's afraid of him. That's all we really know.
Maybe the narrator is just a very judgmental person.
Maybe so.
We still have yet to find out. See, it's like, I want to say, okay, this is a good candidate to drop, but I think because of the girl whose name I already forgot. I'm probably going to watch it next week, so I don't even know. Should we drop it? Should we flip a coin?
If you're enjoying it, I'm going to keep up with it just to talk about it, because I think it's interesting enough that there will probably be something to mention every week.
Okay, so we'll keep it for now. Moving on to Ace Attorney episode 3, and okay, it's kind of like, I think the show is dumb, but it's like dumb in a really amusing way, because
yeah,
apparently the way the legal system in the Ace Attorney universe works is attorneys steal evidence from crime scenes so that the opposing counsel never gets to see them, and then they can spring this evidence in the courtroom as a surprise, and that's totally fine and totally legal. Sal, is that how it works in the games?
Yeah, pretty much, because before the case begins, you're actually going around, like, searching for evidence to use against, to help the person you're defending.
I think there are maybe ethical problems with this whole system.
I've read an interesting theory, at least interesting to me without having played the games. Maybe you can shed some light on it, Sal. And that is that the Ace Attorney games were created as a sort of satire of the whole Japanese court system.
I mean, I don't know if that was what the creator's intention was. I mean, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's true. I guess if anything, like, Ben might know, since he's like a huge fan of this, since he's played more of the series than I have. Like, he's played every game.
Yeah, maybe we should ask Ben Huber on Twitter and see what he has to say. But I have to tell you, watching the anime, I think you have to assume it's at least a little bit satirical. Otherwise, it's just stupid. So.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just dumb.
I mean, the whole game is meant to be satirical. I will tell you this in advance. It's gonna get really serious for like the final, for like if they're gonna cover that case in this season. That just brace yourselves for that.
Well, so far it seems like they're moving really slow. I mean, we haven't even finished the second case.
Yeah, because I think the game had 4 or 5 cases in total for the main story. But there's the thing: are they gonna cover the extra case that was featured in the DS port and above of the first Ace Attorney game?
I don't think they're going to have time for that. I mean, I don't know, but yeah. I would guess. I mean, not.
At the current pace, I guess they don't have any time. Unless they've got single episode cases lined up. At the current pace, they've got maybe 3 cases they can fit in the 12 episodes.
Okay, so again, another show that's too entertaining and we just can't drop it. Story of our lives.
Good to see that it was less boring than the first episode when you all saw it.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't boring. It has that going for it.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous enough that it is amusing.
Okay, so that brings us to our final show on the list that isn't a short, Bakuon episode 3. I'm still enjoying the show, but I thought this episode was a bit of a misstep because I think they revealed the origin of Helmet Girl or Reimu, whatever her name is. I think they revealed it a little bit too early. I think it would have been better if that was just a mystery for most of the show. But now that I know who she is, I guess I can't just keep thinking of her as Bargain Basement Celty, which is how I had been thinking of her. LB, what'd you think of this one?
I was actually going to ask you guys, is it basically the general consensus that Raimu is basically a ghost who's living in that club room?
Wait, what?
That was the impression that I got, is that it's because the incident with the principal happened so long ago, and she got into that big accident, so I just assumed that she was a ghost.
Oh, wow, that's funny, because you know what? I just assumed that she's wearing the helmet because she's actually now a middle-aged woman. Just continuing to go to high school.
Actually, I was going to say I've been joking after the episode that she's more like Celty than ever, because I think she is a supernatural thing at this point.
Okay, on the negative side, now I feel like a moron for not getting that, but that does actually make way more sense than what I thought. Oh, for those that don't know, we're referring to Celty from the show Durarara, who rides a motorcycle and has a helmet and doesn't have a head. We're kind of assuming Reimu does have a head, but we don't know for sure. But wow, man, I feel stupid. Okay. Alright, is there anything we have to say about this episode other than the fact that I just totally missed the obvious somehow? Life?
Just that I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Did you also feel that maybe this was a little too early for them to reveal her backstory, or that didn't occur to you? I kind of do feel like it would have been better if they just put that at the end, but at the same time,
I'm glad that they're continuing with the sort of supernatural element to the whole show. I mean, it's not the first supernatural thing we've seen. We've had a bike that talks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, so like
Yeah, I don't
Kino's journey.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we also have Rin's dad contributing the best joke of the episode yet again.
Oh, he's the best. He's the best character. Rin's pretty cool too, but he's the best character.
Yeah. That moves us on to shorts. Like Tonkatsu DJ Agetarou episode 2. This one was not as entertaining as the first episode, although, to be fair, the reason why the first episode was entertaining is kind of laughing, like, oh my god, are they actually doing this sort of thing? This episode has called my attention to the fact that I have no idea what DJs actually do. I mean, like, okay, so they have records and they, like, play them, but they also do, like, certain things to play them in a special way, so it'll sound different,
Yeah.
and I don't really
They basically do like kind of a remixing type of thing for like club music and stuff.
Yeah, but do they remix it by physically doing something to the record, or I'm confused. Sal?
Yeah, with like the turntable. I'm not really a DJ expert, but just from what I've seen on TV and stuff of like DJs, yeah, they seem to just take actual songs, just add a little remix or spin to them.
Yeah, I mean, episode was still fine. I'm gonna stick with it because it's short and it doesn't take up too much of my time, but it was just kind of like, What'd you think, Sal?
I found the skill with the whole diving segment to be kind of silly.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of funny that, you know, the protagonist has this magic talent to just pick out the exact same record as his idol.
Yeah. And that they once again connected it to preparing tonkatsu or trying to pull out the right pickled food.
Oh, they're going to do that every episode. I'll be shocked if they don't do that every episode. The question is, like, how absurd is it going to get to make that connection?
That is what I am watching it for. I want to see how they can continue to connect the two.
Also, what they're going to do with the other cast is to introduce the guys' like other friends who all happen to have their own businesses and stuff. So
I didn't even notice that. Okay, I just want to state the obvious and say it's obvious my brain can't handle the amount of anime I'm watching because I'm missing incredibly obvious things. So, anyway,
I was just saying that it just has that surrealness that I think I might want to keep up with it to see how far it goes.
Yeah, Life. Anything further?
No, I've already said what I've got to say.
Okay. So that moves us on to Space Patrol Luluco episode 3, and I think I like this more as a romance than, I don't know, whatever the hell it was when it started. I like Alpha Omega, and at one point Luluco says to him, "Should I just stay normal?" He's like, "No, stay wonderful." I just wanted to be a really cheesy romance with the Space Patrol backdrop, and that would make me happy.
I love how sadistic Nova is. He just wants to shoot everything. He doesn't care about being a cop. He doesn't care about the fact that these girls are fighting over him. He's like, "Can I shoot stuff now?"
Sal?
Well, I'm surprised that it's like this episode felt like this is actually the turning point if this show was like episode 1. Like it's actually picking up finally. Also, what's the name of the new character introduced? The criminal that was selling the black hole app? Do y'all remember her name?
No. I'm sorry.
But I just find it random how the police just goes and makes her a cop, despite that she ran this illegal operation for God knows how long.
We've never had anyone volunteer for this before. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Well, when you consider they just recruited Luluco because, you know, it's like, oh, you're a teenage girl and your father just turned into a block of ice. That makes you qualified to be a police officer. You know, this is perfectly in character for them.
I'm not sure if they're trying to make a statement or if it's just entirely ridiculous.
A statement on police brutality.
Perhaps this is why I have issues with policemen being corrupt or incompetent in some cases. They just hire anyone.
Like if they were trying to make that kind of statement, I could totally see it being in there, but I don't know that they are.
Yeah.
See, I don't think it's intentional, but I'm going to go into the show watching it pretending that's what they're doing because then it'll allow me to overanalyze it and feel smart.
Yeah.
And that'll make it more fun anyway.
Yeah. No, I have to overanalyze it. Okay, and finally, we're going to close out with Pan de Peace, episode 3, and okay, everybody knows I love bread. I'm going to watch this show. I would probably watch the show if it was 300 episodes long. But in this one joke per episode show, I don't think this episode even had a joke. It was just like they meet in the bakery and they make bread. Yay.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like just eating and just cute moments. That's it.
yeah, so this was kind of kind of a low point on the pan de pis totem pole, I suppose.
Yeah.
I found myself wondering, is there bad bread in this universe?
No, only delicious bread.
Yeah,
Only
the only bad bread is if one of them burns the bread and it turns all black.
I guess there's the blackened bread that doesn't actually get eaten in the episode.
One question. One girl finally, she welcomes the other girl to their little club, their little bakery club, and says, like, welcome to Pan de Pis. Do they ever explain, like, what that's supposed to be? Or is that just, like, the name of their club, I guess?
Well, I know pan is also Spanish for bread.
Yeah, but I mean, is Pan de Pis just the name of the club, or did she literally say to her, welcome to Bread People for Peace or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I know it was a title drop, but that's all I got.
Yeah, I know there is also a Spanish word for of, so it's like bread of peace.
Yeah. It's just, I need more context on the Pan de Pis thing, guys. I mean, I don't think I'm really asking that much of this show. I want there to be at least one joke per episode, and I want to know what the title means. I'm not asking a lot. I'm really not.
I guess for now it just seems to be a show that's better to just marathon in one go, just because of its length.
But we don't have that option now, and I'm not...
I know, I'm just saying for other people, but not for us.
I can't drop the bread show. Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
Don't be ridiculous.
Okay, so now that we've come to the end of this still insanely long list of shows, what have we actually decided we're dropping? Oh wait, we added one show with Macross Delta, because that was a great idea. And we decided we're gonna drop
the 3 leaves, 3 color show.
3 leaves was one.
I think that's all. We suck at this. Oh my god.
Yeah, you talked me back into Cerebrus.
Damn it. Okay, maybe we shouldn't have this discussion on air, but maybe off air we should have some kind of powwow and figure out if there's some way we can make this podcast shorter, because this is just going to get stupid. Because at this rate, we're probably going to end up adding frickin' like JoJo back in or something.
Wasn't the ideal length for the podcast to be like at least no more than 50 minutes or an hour?
I don't know where that rule of thumb really comes from, but I think our last episode definitely clocked in at pretty long, so... oh well. Listeners, this isn't your problem. You can just fast forward to the shows you don't like, or something. I don't know. We'll figure out something. Alright, are we ready to say goodnight for now?
I think so.
Okay, good night everyone, and may all the bread in your life be delicious bread and not burnt, empty crusts.
That was deep.
Night.
Sorry, I feel like I'm kind of off my game tonight. I'm sorry if I'm like, I don't know, screwing up as the host or whatever, but...
No need to apologize, Karen.
You're all too nice to say I suck, so... Alright.
No, just understand that you're going through a lot of stuff.
So you're saying I suck, but it's totally understandable.
No! They're saying that it's impressive with the stuff you're managing. They're able to accomplish all this much.
Thanks. Okay. Now it just seems like I was digging for compliments and I feel like an asshole, so okay. We're gonna move on.